You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jonathan D'Angelo, aka Johnny D, and you are tuned into another Blerd View session. And today we have the lovely VantaBlack Cosplay. Everybody, how you doing, sweetheart?
Hey, pretty good, pretty good.
All right. So today you've decided to come on the show and talk about the current racism that's going on in cosplay slash nerd culture. But before we get into that, let's get a little introduction for those who don't know you. So, what you're a cosplayer? What first got you into cosplay?
I kind of always heard about it. I always heard about New York Comic Con, all these different conventions. I'm like, damn, I really want to go, but I don't know. Like, should I dress up? Do I like what am I gonna do? So my college roommate at the time, this was 2014. College roommate, she's like, oh, you can cosplay. Like, yeah, let's just go. It's gonna be fun. I'm like, oh, but what if people say, you can't be this character because you're black, or oh, that doesn't look good on you because you're black? And I said to my roommate, I'm like, if anyone ever says that to me, I'm gonna quit because I don't want to deal with that racism. I don't want to deal with I've dealt with racism my whole life. I don't need it in a hobby that I choose to do and I'm spending time doing.
Absolutely.
So she showed me on Tumblr cosplaying while black. And I remember sitting in my room and I'm like tearing up. I'm like, this is amazing. Look at all these cosplayers who they're doing their thing and they don't care what anyone says about it. And so from that, I'm like, yep, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to have a great time. And it doesn't matter what anyone says. I'm just going to live my life and, do it big. So from then, I started researching, trying to figure out, okay, well, what characters do I want to portray? How do I start making stuff? It was always school. Like, when you got a art project and teacher's like, all right, build a sculpture or whatever. I was that kid. And I was the kid with the glitter glue, the paint, the paper mache. Like, that was me. Always. So I literally have all of Michael's in my basement, and I have for as long as I can remember. So, this was tying in nerd culture and my love for art into one. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is my calling. So that's how it all started. With each year, I guess technically I'd say like 2014, 2015 is when I started.
Mm-hmm.
2000, I think it was 2015 New York Comic Con was my first convention. I dressed up as Batman Beyond. The costume was like basic, but I was really to be happy to finally, be around people I like, take pictures, go to some panels, meet some really awesome people. I'm pretty sure I met Amanda Sternberg, and she's like, "Oh, your hair, I love it." And I'm like, "I love you." It was great. So all these different seeing people up close and learning about the stuff you loved your whole life is great. That's why I encourage people, like, if you love it, go for it. Just do what you got to do. Don't forget about forget about what people got to say.
No.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what got you? So what got you into like being a nerd? Like, what was that defining moment where you knew, like, no shit, okay, this is me. I'm a nerd, and this is the rest of my life. What was that for you?
Birth? I don't know.
Out the womb with the comic book in hand. Okay.
I don't know. I think. Okay, so I can remember she's still my best friend. We are like this. We're sisters. She got me into anime. We were the two tomboyish girls in school. We would hang out, play video games, hang out with the boys, talk about comic books and anime and shit talk, all the losers or whatever. Although we were the losers. What?
Oh.
Yeah. So we started with Rama Half and absolutely loved it. We would sit, after school and just read manga, instead of doing homework. And then we'd be scrambling at 6 o'clock, like, oh shit, we gotta get our homework done before our parents come pick us up. So I guess from then I'm like, okay, anime and manga is pretty cool. And she was really, really into it. I was kind of like, oh. But through high school, I'm like, okay, well, I've watched Lord of the Rings about 20 times.
Yes.
And I've seen all of Star Wars, each movie about 10 times.
Yes.
And I really like Studio Ghibli. And I have a lot of superhero t-shirts. And so it just kept building and building, and I'm like, I guess I'm a nerd. I guess. And a lot of my friends are like, oh, well, you're super smart. And I'm like, I am? Okay, that's good to know. So I guess it all falls into that category.
Absolutely.
John Green had this EFTBA, don't forget to be awesome, and that was big in my high school years. And everyone's like, yeah, I'm a nerd, woo! And I'm like, I mean, we still get ridiculed for stupid shit, so whatever. But being a nerd's kind of cool now, so I guess it works out. It all comes full circle. I don't know. But I guess my defining moment was Rama half, third grade, reading manga, and yeah, I mean, Toonami would come on Saturday nights, and I'm like, yes, glued to the TV, watching Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. Piccolo's the greatest father in the world. That. So
Piccolo. Yeah, Piccolo was one of the few black fathers that we all saw growing up in the hood that was dedicated. Oh.
We all knew. Come on.
Everybody keeps saying Toonami Saturday night. Y'all are young. Toonami came on every weekday. And y'all are like, Saturday night. I'm like, oh, I'm so old.
We had school.
I'm so ancient. Toonami came on Monday through Friday after school. And everybody's like, Toonami Saturday night, Sunday morning. Oh my God, no. What do you mean? You're like children. God, I need to go back and hang out with Smoke and Charlie Rocket because you guys are young. You're young on me right now. I remember when Dragon Ball Z the show first came out. Toonami was new show, Dragon Ball Z. I was like, I don't know what this means, but it looks lit, and I was in there and people are like, Saturday night. I used to love watching Dragon Ball Z on the weekend nights or early in the morning. I was like, because my Saturday night, I'm about to date myself for all those paying attention, but my Saturday night consisted of Adult Swim.
Yup.
And it was Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, and Big O. And Big O is my favorite anime. One of my favorite animes.
I don't think Trigun was running on Toonami when I was watching. I'm trying to remember. Ooh, I gotta scroll back. Definitely Dragon Ball could be else. Something. Sometimes they would show reruns of Voltron at super late at night.
Super late.
I mean, super late. They'd be Aqua Teen, Hunger Force. What is it? Ep.9. Something.
I remember when all those shows came out, but Adult Swim was Outlaw Star and Ghost in the Shell and Big O. Yeah, and people look at me like, what? And I'm like, what do you mean what? That was on Adult Swim. And they're like, what about the Venture Brothers? No, that wasn't a thing.
No, Venture Brothers is new, 2000s recent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize. Man, I just feel old, man. I date people. I date people's maturity level based on how many seasons of The Fresh Prince had already aired by the time they were born. So if you were 94 and onwards, you don't count.
Nope. That's funny. That's really funny. Your time scan is Fresh Prince. That's hilarious.
Because it aired from 90 to all the way to 97. So if you told me you saw The Fresh Prince on reruns and not fresh episodes, you're too young for me. Instantaneous. What's it there are people who are yeah, man, I see The Fresh Prince all the time on reruns. I was like, get out. Can't hang, get out. I remember first episode, when the first episode aired, when the last episode aired. I was like, if you missed it, you're too young for me. Man. So, okay.
Yeah.
So getting back to, bringing this back full circle. So are you cosplayed right now? I see you got the three triangles. Yeah, okay, on your face. So what you got for me?
I kind of pull it on fully. So This was 2016 New York Comic Con, and I will say like this was like my shining moment because I did a lot of research. I was like running up and down, plus
Mm.
going like finishing up college, so I was going crazy. But I went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, New York, NYCC, and I made 3 costumes for each day. I don't know how I did it, but I actually got it done. So, like I mentioned, Studio Ghibli's kind of like was a big influence for me when I was younger. And San from Princess Mononoke was always this strong, independent.
Yes, Princess
She's
Mononoke.
she's
Yes.
badass. So I'm like, well, I gotta do my girl. So I'll show you. So I made this mask, and like 2 days before the Saturday at NYCC, it broke.
Oh.
It broke. It shattered completely. So I pretty much had to start all over. But this is I'm like, this is my prized possession. It took blood, sweat, and tears to make it. Literally, like I cut my hand trying to make the eyes, and I bled on real blood and sweat and tears. Like
Real, yes, real, ladies and gentlemen, real blood, sweat, and tears.
and so this is my shining moment. This was like my favorite. This is my comfy cosplay. Whenever I need to like just go to a convention and I don't have time to make something, this is what I throw on because it's versatile. It's warm. I can either be like, whoop, or have the cape on. The cape's a blanket, which is great because when you're in New York City and it's 50 degrees 1 minute, 90 degrees the next minute, and then the minute after that it's 2 degrees, I've got a blanket just in case. And I've got my ears, and I've got like the full suit is on. I'm not gonna stand up right now, but yeah, I pretty much made everything by hand. I was up at night like stitching the top shirt, covering it in blood and dirt. So it was not real blood, not real dirt, just makeup. So it was really fun. It was a lot of fun to make. It was like I said, it was a really proud moment. My parents would come home and they're like, "You're not done with it yet?" I'm like, "No, it's got to be perfect. Like, this is a character I really embody. I really feel strongly for. So I'm giving it my all." And that's kind of what my goal is as a cosplayer. Like to me, I give everything 100%, sometimes 150%. And especially when it comes to something I love, oh yeah, I'm like go above and beyond, and I'm gonna push my really lose sleep over it, but when it comes out and I'm happy with it, it was all worth it.
And see, like a lot of people, like man, a lot of people don't realize the classics. Like, was it Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke? Like those were like
the Castle. Oh, my favorite.
Like those were some of the greatest, and are still some of the greatest. I know Spirited Away is what rated one of the, if not the greatest anime movie of all time.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, very few people that I see cosplay those. You know what I mean? But it takes a bit of anime knowledge to know those characters. Like Sun Z, she posted a Golden Boy gif last night on Instagram, and I might have to cosplay as Golden Boy now. Very few people know what that is, and if you do,
yeah.
aha! Yeah. If you don't,
gotta go. I always tell people like there's so much to watch. Just go out and just pick stuff. Pick stuff off the list and just start watching.
Yeah, I know thanks to Geek and Ludes and Chocolate Wafu, I've discovered the dark side of the Blerd verse. That's literally Wednesday's episode though. That's Wednesday's episode. But there's a dark side. You can click too much. But getting to the main point. So I know you mentioned at the beginning you were scared to cosplay because you didn't want to be discriminated against based on the characters that you wanted to portray. Now, you since said that after seeing cosplay while black, you were inspired, you were motivated to go ahead and do what you wanted to do anyway. Have you ever have you ever had any experiences where you have been discriminated against, maybe either online or in person, based on the characters that you play?
Yeah. So it was funny because I pushed it out of my mind that I was scrolling through my Instagram pics and I saw one of my Domino pictures. I'm like, yes, I forgot this was a good one. And this guy goes, oh, I mean, the cosplayer is talented and whatever, but I really don't think Domino should be black. And
Oh.
I'm just like, nobody cares about your opinion. Nobody.
Oh.
Like, do you think we care about your opinion? Because we don't. We don't. I don't. My friends don't. The universe doesn't. Like, nobody cares. So it's like if I do experience more racism, they can just shut up. I just don't. I don't. Like I said, I don't deal with that. I'm not no. I'm not the one to try that with. I'm really not. I mean, I tell people like I'm 5'4", and I'm pretty small. But like I'm just like a spit. Yeah, I'm like idiot, like tiny person, big personality. Like don't piss me off because I'll come for you. I mentioned on Instagram yesterday. Like I know where the jugular is. I'll come for you. I'll go straight for the jugular.
She's about that life, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
She's about that life, ladies and gentlemen. She's definitely about that life.
Brooklyn girls, we're not the ones you should be messing with because we have come too far and we have worked too hard. And this is black cosplayers in general. We've worked too hard and come too far for people to cry us down. And you know what? No, scratch that. Not even black cosplayers. Black people. No, you're not going to tell me who I can be and who I can't be. You're not going to tell me what school to go to. You're not going to tell me what hobbies to have. No. I'm going to do what I want, when I want, how I want it, and I'm going to slay and look great doing it. So
there it is.
Y'all, let's take your hateration and go somewhere else because we're not here for that.
So do you feel? I mean, so do you see this kind of thing happening often within? Because like I just started cosplay. You know, I'm waiting for the hate, and I'm gonna call them out. Like a lot of cosplayers they don't want to tell me names. I'm gonna put names. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm about that life. I'm putting names. I'm petty. I'm an Aquarius. We're petty. I'm putting names. I'm just waiting. But I mean, do you see it happening to your other peers? I know, yeah, often, a lot.
Yes, and I will be the first person to be like, this bitch, you see him? Fuck him up. He, I'm not having it. I will be the first person to defend other black cosplayers because I'm, like I always say, I'm rooting for everybody black. And I'm not going to let somebody slander one of my friends or one of my fellow black cosplayers just because you don't think they look the part. It's none of your business. Like, I will call names, but I don't know if they want me to like voice their name on this channel right now.
Not yet.
But recently, someone's like, "Oh, your cosplay is great and all, but I just don't think it fits a character." And she's like, okay, well, that's your opinion and whatever. And I'm like, ooh, she's too nice. I'm like, oh, you're good. I'm like, you have the patience of a saint because I would have told him to fuck off. I'm being real because it's not. Other people shouldn't tell you what to do. Other people shouldn't tell you how to feel and what you should wear. No, that's none of their business. And their opinions doesn't matter. If you're happy with what you do and how you feel, that's it. That's all that matters. And so I do see it a lot of time with, cosplayers who have like 2K followers and they're getting nasty comments up the wazoo. They get pictures of lynch mobs. They get pictures of black people getting hung, whatever the word is. And it's people in blackface. Like, that's the new thing this week.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen that. Like,
really?
I,
in 2018?
Yeah, like people can't get away with it in real life, so they call it cosplay, and I'm like, because we don't whiteface. I'm not when I do Jason Todd, I'm not gonna whiteface. I don't understand why you need a blackface. That's offensive.
Like, who are you? What are you doing? No. Like, I'm a firm believer in that fine line between cultural appropriation and appreciation. Like, you know the difference.
Yeah,
Y'all,
definitely.
y'all out there who think you don't know the difference, you know the difference. You're just acting dumb, okay? No, why would you dress in blackface? And someone's like, oh, but if a little kid does it, little kids don't see color. I'm just like, no,
No.
little they see color, they aren't affected by it. They see racism, they see color, they know that there's different races, but that hatred is taught. You know, racism isn't, you're not born with being racist. You're taught hatred.
No,
So no,
absolutely.
that's a poor excuse. Come again.
So
Try me, bitch.
So okay, so we both know that the ignorance, we'll call it ignorance. We both know the ignorance comes from the fact that there's a lack of representation of minority characters within the nerd community. I mean, Star Wars has 5 black people in its entire universe. You know what I mean? Like Lord of the Rings has no black people in its entire universe. I mean, you know that like to include the Hobbit, and so so it's a lack of representation, and the issue being is that, let's be honest, the closest we got to representation, comic book wise, minus Storm, Black Lightning, Luke Cage, and I'm reaching back here, and we'll say
Mm-hmm.
Cyborg. Happy birthday to George Perez, and who else was back then? There was
Storm, Vixen,
Vixen.
uh,
Besides them, though, the closest thing we got to representation was the X-Men, because when Stan Lee wrote the X-Men, Martin Luther King, Professor Xavier was based off Martin Luther King, and Magneto was based off MLK during their more extreme times. And the
yeah.
mutants were supposed to be representative of the minority groups in America and how they were being oppressed at the time. And so, shout out to Stan Lee for giving us that symbolic representation. That was, lit, despite the fact that Fox has ruined every movie except Logan, but we're not going to talk about that.
We're not gonna talk.
But no, but and it was funny. It's funny because it was posted on Twitter. I just got a Twitter, still don't know how to use it, but it was posted on Twitter that you know, white people can read X-Men and understand, the X-Men, the mutants' point of view. Like, oh yeah, these people are oppressed, they have a right to be mad, but then can't apply the same basic principles to their minority counterparts in real
You ain't
life.
never lied.
I personally feel like it's because representation is lacking, and most of the writers and the authors of these literary works that we read and we watch, they're non-people, they come from non-people of color. And so the ignorance, as I mentioned earlier, stems from the fact that not only is there a lack of representation, but there's huge representation when it comes to non uh, non-characters of color, characters that are, yeah. So and that's a problem, and a lot of people, it's ignorant for people to get upset. The problem we having in the community with racism is the fact that you can almost, and I'm gonna say this weird, but just hear me out for you and anybody watching and listening, because people will be like, "What?" You can almost justify the racism only because they can argue, well, a black Domino isn't canon, a Mexican Deadpool isn't canon, a Hispanic Wolverine is not canon, and and that's a problem, because comics have allowed us to be able to justify racism due to lack of representation. And I know everybody was like, oh, "What is he saying?" But no, comic books and nerd culture have allowed us to be able to, has allowed people to be able to justify racism due to lack of representation. Because you can't argue that, technically, if you want to get technical, there isn't a white cyborg. So if somebody cosplays Cyborg who's not black, we could just be like, you can't be Cyborg. He's technically black. You can't be Black Panther. He's technically African.
Wait, before you finish that, but have black people ever said, no, you can't do that? That's the
No.
difference.
The only stipulation we ever put on it is you don't do blackface. We will,
and that's the difference.
And that's the difference. And you're absolutely right. That's the difference. And the problem is, like, when Jon Stewart became Green Lantern, that was a milestone. When there's 2 more Green Lanterns too. One black guy and one Mexican female. I can't remember their names, But yeah, like when Thor became a woman, when Riri became what's her name? What's her name? Riri. When the little girl, black girl, became Iron Man. What's her name?
Yes. Is it Riri Williams?
Yeah,
I can't remember her full name, but
when she
yeah.
became Iron Man. When Marvel started, and you know it's funny when Marvel started diversifying, like when DC started diversifying, people weren't as butthurt when Marvel did it, and that's because Marvel is Marvel is incidentally concrete when it comes to their representation, their lack of representation. Concrete. Most of Marvel characters are white, always have been, and people were really like DC was integrating people slightly, like John Stewart here, Black Lightning there, Mr. Terrific, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Blocker. Like they were trying to like you know what I'm saying, kind of like wiggle him in. Supergirl, Wonder Woman, you know, Wally West. They're like, and people were like, no, not a black Wally West, but like Wally West was black in the TV show. Iris was black, so it's like you couldn't escape it. So it's like, all right, we accept it. But because Captain America's been white, Iron Man's been white, Thor's been white, Adam Strange, what's his name? Adam Warlock. What's his name? Yeah, yeah. And all these characters have been white for so long.
I get what
Marvel is.
I get what you're saying with that because it's touch and go. Like, I mean, Marvel has Storm, which everybody knows is black, but I see white women, you know, cosplaying as Storm. I'm like, yes, that's right, sis. Go ahead, control the weather, do your thing. I have no problem with it. Is it like at first I'm like, but then I say, you know what? No, cosplay is for everyone. Like, you can do what you want. I'm not. Who am I to judge? So, like, so honestly, I don't have a problem with it. Marvel, you know, incorporated Miss Marvel, who is a Muslim girl, and I have every issue of that comic because diversity is important. Representation is important. You know, like every little Muslim girl now can want to be a superhero, and you know, like read it and feel like, yeah, I face all the challenges every day because there's someone who looks like me. You know, there was this picture on the internet of this little black girl looking up at a poster of Michelle Obama, and everyone went crazy because they're like, you know, representation really does matter. Like that little girl she could grow up to be either a first lady or a president. You know,
or now a princess. That's a thing too now, or Duchess, however you want to look at it. But yeah, that's a thing too now.
But I'm gonna be a princess. Are you kidding me? But that's why representation matters. That's literally why it matters. Is it? I wouldn't say the racism is justified. I would say I see why people are racist. That doesn't mean it's okay. I see why.
And I'm not saying the racism is justified. I'm just saying that they can justify it due to
right. But on the flip side, I would say the characters are fictional.
Absolutely.
They can be, you know, you could be whatever. And I wanted to bring up this point because this kind of like affected me. So, in England, there was a Harry Potter play, and a black girl was cast as Hermione.
I remember reading that. Yes, people were outraged.
Everyone freaked the fuck out over it, and I'm just like, but why? What you trying to say? Like, black girls can't be smart? Black girls can't have freckles? Black girls can't have frizzy hair? I mean, clearly we can have frizzy hair, and like half of the women in my family have freckles or spots and are brilliant. So why can't Hermione be black? And it really, yeah. Sorry, my phone's ringing. But it and J.K. Rowling kind of baited it, race baited it. She's like, oh, I didn't say she wasn't black. I'm like, but if you did say she was black, you would have had a greater impact on our community. I mean, Harry Potter is a big aspect of nerd culture. Like, there's no denying it. But I feel as though I was a huge Harry Potter fan as a kid growing up. I have read all the books, seen all the movies. I played Quidditch for a few years. That's an episode for another time.
Didn't know that was a thing.
But you know, it's 1 minute. I don't know. Our phones, house phones are crazy. Don't invest in a house phone, guys.
I haven't had a house phone since. Wow.
Yeah. My parents are stuck in the 90s.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. But yeah, like I was saying, Hermione, if I had a character like Hermione growing up, I would have been different. I would have been way different. I wouldn't, and not to say that I dumbed myself down, but I would have been more, I would have been a bit more proud to be smart. Like, I don't like to brag about my intelligence because I don't want, if you brag about your intelligence, then you're bougie. If you don't brag about your intelligence, then you're stupid. Like, there's such a weird line there. And so, if I had that figure to look up to, I would have been like, yeah, well, I'm Hermione, I'm brilliant, whatever. I don't care what you have to say. And
Facts.
it would have shaped me as a person. And I feel as though that it's funny because in the books I didn't like Hermione because I'm like, she's annoying. She's this know-it-all
True.
who she knows everything. But then I'm watching the movies. I'm like, damn, Harry and Ron are so stupid. They're like, and so I'm like, yeah, I can see why she is the way she is. Kind of like same thing with Missy in Big Mouth. This little black girl is a genius, and she talks about microbes and anatomy. And my friends are like, "Yo, you should watch. Like, you gotta watch it, cause that girl's you." I'm like, "Nah, that's not me." And then she starts talking about fruit snacks. I'm like, "Oh shit, that is me." Like, damn. So I feel like we need representation. It's coming slowly but surely. It's coming, but we need it. We really do need it. Like, Black Panther has been a monumental force. I'm so happy Black Panther has done so well. I mean, I was holding my heart because you hear like people going in and shooting people in movie theaters. So I was really nervous, but no, and it's big everywhere. Everyone loves the movie. It's a clean movie. It tells a great story. You actually kind of feel bad for the villain. Like, when does that ever happen? So it's a wholesome movie, and it is incorporated Black culture and nerd culture at the same. So now you have Black people who are like, oh, Wakanda forever. You've got the nerds who are like, Wakanda forever, and then now like it's a big harmony. It's beautiful. I love it. It means a lot, and I say like, okay, well, if little Black kids see me cosplaying, maybe they'll do it as well, and maybe I can like be an inspiration to them. Like I said, representation matters. So maybe I can inspire my youth, to do the good work.
So, do you feel like there's a divide between Black cosplayers and non-Black cosplayers, especially lately?
Yes and no. I think the divide is the same divide that we have. Like, we've always had a divide. Like that. There's racism. There's always been blatant racism in the world. Do I think it's getting better? Probably. If not as fast as we expected or we would like it, but I think it is getting better. And there are, your non-POC cosplayers who are very vocal, who are saying, like, no, this is fucked up. You guys are being racist bastards. Like, these photographers, you need to photograph Black cosplayers because they matter just as much as the white and Asian ones. And I will say, too, I don't see, and I'm not saying that they don't exist because I know they do, but Latinx cosplayers, they don't get half as much credit as they should.
True story.
Like, and even representation of them in movies, in comics, is so minimal. Like, here, Black people are complaining, but can you name one Latinx superhero? Like, off the top of your head? Because I can't.
Well, the Green Lantern. I was talking about the female Green Lantern, whose name I don't know, so it doesn't help.
No.
I forgot it.
Right. So, I kind of, like, and I feel bad because I don't know it. Or I think about the Disney princesses. That's, like, for me, as a girl.
Bunker from the new Teen Titans, the new 52 Teen Titans. I think his name was Bunker. He's homosexual and Mexican, from Mexico. So they rolled up two tokens into one and threw it into Teen Titans. Because at the time, ironically, he was the only minority in the Teen Titans reboot for the new 52. So, token.
I want to say her name is America Chavera. She Star Girl? I don't remember. Or is she a version of Captain America? I don't remember. So don't quote me on this. But she's a Latina superhero. And when I saw her release, I'm like, yes, this is what we need. This is exactly what we need. But like even her name escapes me, and that's not good enough. You know,
Yeah.
like they need it. We need it. I can't stress this enough. Representation matters. At each race needs a key figure they can look up to, like an instiller of good. And if our little kids can't look up to someone who looks like them, what are you gonna, who are they gonna look up to? Like I was saying about the Disney princesses, recently was, I think it's the 20th year anniversary of Mulan. Yeah, it was 20th year because I remember seeing it in theaters. And my friend is adopted from China. She used to dress up as Mulan every year for Halloween since that movie came out. Every single year. And one year she had her birthday usually falls around Chinese New Year. So it was like a Chinese New Year birthday party. And it was great. Like I saw how Mulan was important to her. So imagine being a little kid when Princess and the Frog came out. Imagine being a black little kid when Princess and the Frog came out. Imagine being a Mexican little kid when Coco came out. I loved Coco. I was like following the artwork from day one.
Coco was amazing, yeah. Coco was absolutely amazing.
No, I know how important it is to see your culture, to see people who look like you on the big screen. That is what is important. It's not about who looks the best, who's the most accurate, who does that. No, it is being able to relate to someone on a bigger scale.
So what about these cosplayers who are like, what about as we'll call them name brand cosplayers? And that's not insulting, but
Right.
what about the Cutiepie Senseis and the Lux Stees and the K Bear? Like what about them? What about those cosplayers who are on their level? Do you think that they're immune to these kinds of incidences when it comes to racial inequality? No.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, they get the heat the most because they're in the limelight all the time. And I feel for them. As I'm not that famous, and so I'm not getting the racism like all the time. But they're in the limelight, and people don't like it. People are like, why are they famous? Why are they cosplaying? They should just stick to Storm. No, it's like, no, let them do what they want. And they're vocal about it as well. They Cutiepie Sensei, she liked one of my posts because I was saying like these characters are fictional, so they can be whatever you want, and she agreed with me. They get the racism tenfold more than I do, or my like people who don't have as many cosplay followers. Like I said, because they're in the limelight and because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
I started for a few years ago, but some people got like 10 years under their belt, and they're probably sick of it. They're probably up to their ears in racism and death threats and hateration, and they're probably so damn tired of it. But us, their fans, keep pushing them to be great.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's hopefully we can encourage them and say like, look, whatever people say, don't listen to them. You guys are still great. You guys are still talented. But there is a bit of, reluctance. Now people are like, well, maybe I shouldn't cosplay. Even me, I got my NYCC tickets, and I'm taking Sailor Moon, so we're going to do a Princess Serenity, Chibi Moon cosplay tag team. And I can't wait to start working on her costume. But I'm really nervous if someone's going to say something rude to her or to me, because then I'm going to act the fool and I'm going to get thrown out of the convention. I don't want somebody telling her, something crazy, because then I'm going to beat their ass. And like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to go to jail. I don't have bail money for that. Like, it's not happening. So I applaud those who take the racism and keep going. my message to everyone, like, hear it, ignore it, or cuss them out, because it's gonna keep it. They're gonna keep on coming with it. So you cuss them out and they'll stop, or you can ignore it and they'll stop. Those are your two options.
So do you feel like, okay, so I mentioned Cutiepie Sensei, Luxtees, and K Bear, and we have like the Chocolate Wafu and Chrissy Victory. Do you feel like, on the flip side of my previous question, do you feel like they're more accepted because they're so big and harder to ignore? Because they get photographed. Cutiepie Sensei is inarguably the Blerd cosplay goddess. She can walk
Yeah.
into a con and people will stop everything and be like, holy shit, that's Cutiepie Sensei. And as modest as she is, she knows it. We'd have to shut down a mall for her. Do you feel like it's because she's so big? Is like they universally accept her on all fronts just because you can't ignore her?
Yes, I do think so, but she doesn't use that to her advantage, which makes me like her even more for that.
Absolutely.
Because if it was she knew it and used it and abused it, I would lose respect for her, obviously. But she knows it, and she kind of, like, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like the attention that she gets for being so big, if that kind of makes sense. Another cosplayer, I'm not gonna bring up her name, but she made a good point. She's like, a lot of these photographers only want to take pictures of light-skinned cosplayers, and that's very true. Like, I'm darker, and I know that I'm going to face that questioning, that maybe not. Well, maybe if you were lighter. I mean, I've had people tell me, like, oh, you'd be pretty if you were lighter. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, I've had you're pretty for a black girl.
Oh man. Oh man.
Just like,
So do you feel
yeah.
like it's because Cutiepie Sensei is lighter skinned is why, do you think that's part of you personally feel like that's, and no offense to, she's listening, no
No,
offense to the goddess that is Cutiepie Sensei, but I mean, let's really dig here, hopefully not a grave, but let's dig, maybe strike gold or oil, like, do you feel like it's because she's lighter skinned is one of the reasons? Because not arguing her artistic ability whatsoever.
definitely no.
That aside, do you feel
And,
like that's one of her being lighter skinned is part of the reason why they favor her a little bit more?
yeah. Oh, no doubt. And that has nothing to do with her as a cosplayer. That's literally, like, she didn't choose to be the skin color she is.
No,
That has nothing to
absolutely.
do with her talent, her time, her money, her energy. No, it's just something that happens. She just happens to be lighter, and that speaks to America as a whole, because my lighter female my lighter female, sisters, brothers, lighter female black people just get this preferential treatment, and it's very disconcerting. Like, it's very weird. It's kind of like, but we're all black.
Yeah. And to interject on that, to interject and then add too, I was talking, an interview or so back when I was talking to Chocolate Wafu, she was telling me the same thing. Now she's in the Netherlands, and she was telling me there's like maybe 10 black cosplayers that go to their conventions every year, and they all know each other, the same 10 people. But she was telling me, she was like, because she's darker skinned, she gets a lot of flack for being darker skinned, trying to cosplay, especially non characters of color. But and so she's always told me that she's always been like kind of antsy about cosplaying with her darker skin. And I'm pretty sure that we've gotten that across the board from a lot of cosplayers. I never got the chance to ask Charlie Rocket, but Charlie Rocket is also lighter skin. Matter of fact, I want to say Charlie Rocket's lighter skin than Cutiepie Sensei. You know, I do feel like when it comes to I've heard because Chocolate Waffle told me the exact same thing you just did about Cutiepie, but what you said about you being dark skinned. That Chocolate Waffle said that people don't want to photograph her because she's darker skinned, and they say it's harder to edit her, or it just doesn't look good, And so, like, I do feel like colorism does play a role because honestly, if you can't get white, you kind of want to favor a more caramel tone, for sure. And so,
edit. I don't know how to take. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Because you can't be skilled in one aspect of your job and not know how to cover a wide range. That means you suck at your job.
Ooh, shots. Bow wow.
I'll say it.
Bow wow.
It's the same thing with makeup. I could go into Sephora, and if I go to someone to do my makeup and they tell me they don't know what foundation to use in a giant ass store like Sephora, are you kidding me? No, then you're not talented. Then you only know how. Yeah, I will call them out.
Hurts.
I will call them as I see it.
Oh, it hurts my neck.
Listen, I don't care.
Wu-Tang, protect your neck.
Because how are you going to be good at one thing and then claim you're the greatest? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. And not even that you would try to venture out. You don't even want to experience anything else. Like, I could say, okay, I like to cook. And I like to cook a whole wide range of dishes. But when you go to culinary school, guess what? You're cooking a whole wide range of dishes.
Facts.
You're not going to just cook steak every day. And you're not just going to cook French food every day. You have to know how to cook a whole bunch of different meals. Because how are you going to build your portfolio and diversify your palate if you don't know how to do everything else? It goes in the workplace. It goes for makeup. It goes for artists. It works universally.
But see, it's a choice. You understand it's a choice because a photographer goes into a Comic-Con knowing full well there's going to be people of color there. And they choose not to photograph and edit photos of people of color because that's their choice. Now, all the excuses they want aside, a spade is a spade is a spade, it's still racist.
Yep.
It's still racist.
But then if I say, oh, well, I don't want to take pictures by white photographers, then people are going to get mad.
Yeah, because who are you to do some shit like that?
Oh, boo-hoo.
I mean, it's facts. The problem that we're facing right now is that right now with this hashtag Black Cosplayer Here movement and, the events of Colossal Con, it puts Black cosplayers and cosplayers of color, in this, it puts us in, sort of a spiritual, mental, emotional disarray because it's like, well, if you're not going to take pictures of me after I did all this work, you know what I mean? Like after I did all this work to create these costumes and this look and this feel and this mood, this character, and you're not going to take pictures of me, I guarantee you after Colossal Con, somebody quit. Somebody quit. Somebody felt some type of way. Somebody quit. Somebody sees what's going on in the cosplay community and they quit. And it's disdaining. And, you have non-cosplayers of color who are sticking up for us, but then how many more of them aren't? Because we're not here for... Cosplay is definitely an art. It is also inherently a competition. It is because we have cosplay competitions, but not to state the obvious, but if I walk in as Red Hood and Dynamite Weber walks in as Red Hood, we're gonna, what I'm saying? Who did a better job? You know what I mean? There is that competition, but the problem is my Red Hood won't be rewarded if I know for a fact that walking into that same con, me and Dynamite Weber could look just as good. I could look better than him. But if I know walking into that con, he's going to get more attention than me simply because he's white, that's a whole other issue altogether.
Yeah. And speaking about competition, what's weird when you message someone, ask them like, oh, where did you get this fabric? Or how did you make this? And they don't answer you. Or they read it and they block you.
And they block or don't reply, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, you're rude. Like
I recently did a shout out for shout out. I did. Somebody was like, oh, I'm not going to name their name. I want to. I'm not. But I'm not. But I recently somebody was like, "Hey, let's do it," and they were non-cosplay, and I'm praying this is a coincidence. I really am. But somebody did a shout out for shout out, and they had like, and it was. I posted my request for the shout out for shout out. Oh, quite a bit late. I'm not gonna lie. But I did, but you have to understand too. Based on the movement, this was this week. This was like just last week, and this was like we had already started that hashtag Black Cosplayer here, and Colossal Con was fresh in everybody's minds. It still is. So there was a lot of like racial tension going on in the culture, but I was like this white female cosplayer was doing a shout out for shout out. I was like, bet I'll hey, shout me out. You know what I mean? And she had like 15 people. Didn't acknowledge me whatsoever. Even after I tagged her in my story, posted her in my story, shouted her out and everything. I know she saw it. She had to have seen it. But just nothing. Nothing. And it was like, now I feel some type of way. And it could be coincidence. But the problem is, we're too used to it not being coincidence. We're so used to it not being coincidence that every incident almost seems purposeful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, shoutouts for shoutouts are weird because I just do it. Like I don't really expect anything in return. But usually I'm shocked and extremely grateful. Like I hit 1K followers and I started crying because I didn't think I'd get this far. But it's when stuff like that happens, it's so weird because to me, I understand that everyone takes this a little too seriously, and everything's a competition. It doesn't need to be. You can help your fellow man. It costs $0.00. It's literally $3.99 to be a decent human being. If someone asked me, how did you do this? I got like a Google Doc. I got like a website. Like I'll give them everything because I want to help people.
Absolutely.
That's just who I am. I'm not gonna say, oh well, I'm not gonna tell you blah blah blah. And even some of like the more famous cosplayers, if you talk to them, they talk to you. They treat you like normal. Sometimes I'm afraid to say something because I don't want to be ignored or I don't want them to think I'm annoying. But 9 times out of 10, they're really nice. I mean, they're people too. So it's like, no, just be polite to each other. A friend of mine, and she's a white cosplayer. She said she messaged this guy on Facebook, asked where he got this material. He blocked and deleted her. Over material. It's just material. It's not that serious. I don't get it. And wow. She's famous and very sweet. She's really nice. So if it was like maybe she had a stank attitude, I would understand. But no, she's just as nice as everybody else. So I don't know, this competition thing, people take it too far. I understand you want to be the best. It's never that serious. It's really not. I mean, you can get money out of it. That's cool. You can get fame and glory. All right, I guess that's cool. You get to show off your talents. Okay, that's cool. But but when you start to be nasty to people, when you start blocking and deleting people because you want to be at the top and you don't want no one else up there with you, it's not worth it. It really isn't.
So, final question, and you can choose to answer, or you cannot. It's one of those. It's one of those deep. It's one of those questions. You choose to answer, you cannot. It's one of those questions.
All right, let's go.
Final question. Do you feel like the events that have unfolded within the cosplay and nerd community, do you feel like they would have happened 4 years ago? And to elaborate what I mean on that is that do you feel like because we're in a Trump-ruled America, with all that he said out loud, that it's brought out those who have been harboring these kinds of attitudes all along?
I'm going to choose to answer this question. That's a good question. And I'm going to answer it 2 ways. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say no. people usually say I'm very pragmatic, and so I weigh the pros and cons on both sides of things. So 4 years ago, yes, because people are racist. People are inherently racist. No matter 4 years ago, 10 years ago, like 2 minutes ago, they're racist. They're racist. Like, if they act that way, not much is going to change them. Sad to say. And I think it may be... No, I think if I were to say yes, I think I could see it both ways. If I were to say yes, they would have done the same thing 4 years ago, because once you're a racist, kind of always a racist. Although I do believe that people can change. It's just the likelihood of them changing is very small. Now, on the other hand, no, because we are in Trump's America. I can't stand Trump. I will be blatant about it. I don't like him. I think he's a horrible person, and he does a lot of fucked up shit.
She's coming.
Yeah, coming for him. Yes, I think that people are now using that to their advantage, and they're like, ooh, we got a racist president. It's time for us to rally up the troops and clear the swamp. Because I was walking down Manhattan, and I had a guy scream, hard ER at me, call me the N-word at a hard ER, and I'm just like... Not the hard ER, though. The hard ER! He was right! And they were on a float. Literally, like, this huge-ass float was, like, going by, and it said, clear the swamp, we're gonna take all the... Yeah, we're gonna take out all the... Like, they called some racist words for, Spanish people. They called some racist words for Jewish people, racist words for black people. And they're, like, broadcasting this down the street in Manhattan. And I'm like, how is this not illegal? Why is this happening? I understand freedom of speech, but... Oh,
man. Painful.
Yeah. Painful. So I think... People are, and with social media, people can say whatever they like on social media, and they don't get punished for it. Now, if somebody says something racist to me on social media, I'm gonna report and block them. I don't have time for it. I'm gonna report and block them. Just like this guy told me, oh, Idris Elba can't be James Bond because he's black, and like you're going after my husband. You're like,
your husband?
No, this is my opinion. Yeah, I love him. I love him.
Oh, man.
I love him so much. No, but the guy's like, no, he can't. No. And the guy was British, so I guess since he's British, he knows everything about British culture and everything that British people, blah, 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 blah. But he's a troll. I literally read through his profile. Like, see, before I come for somebody, I got receipts. So I, went through his profile. I went, 2 years back, and I'm like, scroll. I'm
screenshots, all of them.
I'm like, so you're a racist and a bigot, and you hate feminists. Oh, okay, and you're a little weird. Ooh, honey. Yeah, so I was like, look, your main purpose is to be a troll, so I'm not going to even entertain you. Like, you can kindly fuck off.
Kindly.
That's just straight. And so with people like trolls coming through who bully Kelly Tan off the internet, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, devastating.
They have this resurgence of power. It's like it's 1950 all over again. I can't believe this is happening in 2018. So maybe, pros and cons to answer your question, maybe I'm veering more on the, yes, we are in Trump's America, so people feel more obliged to be racist without, facing any repercussions. It's starting to feel that way. So I would say, I think they do feel a bit more empowered, but I think as a person of color, and I like, not even just as a black person, as a person of color, as a woman, we have to stand up against it. We have to, because if we don't, people are going to run all over us. They're going to say all these nasty things about us, and we can't let that happen. We can't change. Like, if this country was founded on ideals of equality and ideals that your fellow man is just as equal as you are, although the founding fathers were all racist. If yeah, I said said it as a
She's
historian.
coming, guys. She's coming. She's coming
Yeah.
for them.
I mean, listen. I keep it real. If that is what this country is supposed to embody, then we need to embody it. If we are all supposed to work together for the common good and help each other out, then we should be doing that. It shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't be, I need to rise to the top. You're not good enough. You can't sit with us. Like all that bullshit. If that's what is happening, then we need to take a step back and try to fix it. Not everybody is courageous enough to do that. Not everyone will see the issues going on. And a lot of people don't think anything's wrong, sadly.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem. But us who do see the problem, we have a right to educate others and say, hey, what you said isn't nice. This is why this is wrong. Because, it might just be ignorance. It might be ignorance. And if you explain to someone, hey, what you said was really offensive. I didn't like that. And you tell them why. And say, well, how would you feel if someone said that about you and your culture? Sometimes they will understand. And sometimes it just takes a conversation. It takes some basic dialogue. It just takes someone explaining things to rectify a situation. So
absolutely.
Will our country, do we need everyone need to sing Kumbaya and solve the problem? I don't know if that's going to work, but it is a step in the right direction.
So, all right. So, where can we to wrap this up? Where are we gonna see you at next? Where are you gonna be at next? Where?
BlerdCon.
Everybody's going to BlerdCon. Everybody's going to BlerdCon.
I wanted to go last year, but I'm pretty sure I was in school. Yeah, it was finals week, and it wasn't happening. But now I'm working, so I can go. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've got some really great plans. I bought some fabric for it today, so check me out on Instagram and see all the stuff I'm cracking up. NYCC, probably maybe some local cons here and there in New York. Yeah, NYCC, hopefully Anime NYC if I can get the time off, and hopefully WinterCon. WinterCon, I'm pretty excited because my mom's gonna come and she's gonna cosplay, so it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, for the rest of the year, I've got some really great stuff planned. There's a few parties I'll be going to, some Blerd parties, some nerd parties, some pride. You can see me there. You can see all my crazy shenanigans and my 1,000,001 pictures of me eating and stuffing my face.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you. Where can we find you out on social media?
I just made a Twitter. Oh, funny. I had a Twitter, but I realized I didn't want my normal life and cosplay life to intercede.
Mm-hmm.
So new Twitter is Lunulata1. For another time, I'll explain what that means. And you can find me on Instagram at VantaBlack Cosplay.
All right. And we'll definitely drop links in the description for those who are curious. But all right, sweetheart, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it. It was fun.
Yay! Thank you.
And we will catch you later. This is Jonathan D'Angelo, a.k.a. Johnny D, and VantaBlack Cosplay, and we are signing off.